Okay, can you see it in full screen now?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, it's asking me to download a whole new extension and stuff, so I'll just have you switch slides. It's not super complicated.
Yeah. All right. So go on the next slide.
Yep, next slide, and then next slide again. My name's Everest. I'm the national president for Silver Wings this year. I'm currently a criminal justice major at Northern Arizona University. We're doing a split staff between NAU and Embry-Riddle in Prescott. We'll see how that works out. So far, it's going very well, and I expect us to be able to open up that possibility to further higher headquarters bids and stuff in the future. My big two things that I'm harping on this year are communication and joint relations. The goal is to have a 24-hour communication turnaround time between national staff and the member level, which is difficult because we're going through multiple layers of the chain of command, but it's definitely doable, and we've seen a lot of success with it so far. The other thing I'm focusing on is joint relations, and that is really something that has to be tailored to each chapter and squadron specifically. That said, there has been a lot of improvement, and we've seen a lot of flow of good ideas in terms of what people are doing to improve their joint relations. Next slide. So Reese is the national vice president, and his two big things are awards and the chapter leadership development series, which is focused on developing people more than anything else. And that's one of the projects that was actually started by Megan, one of the NACs who stepped down last year. And Reese is doing a fantastic job keeping that up. One of the new initiatives he's going to take on soon is contacting different chapter members to really see if we can nail down and get to know Silver Wings at a chapter level, because that's one of our big problems on national staff is we don't know exactly what the chapters are looking for and what the nature of some of the different chapters are. Next slide, please. So Allie is our National Development Officer, and she is all about activation, which makes sense. That's her job. We're really trying to come up with not just more recruitment material, but more recruiting ideas, because one of the things one of the concerns that have been brought to national staff is we don't know how to recruit people, especially civilians, and that's really huge right now more than anything else. So that's her focus, is largely on activation. Next slide. Nick Kerrigan is our national webmaster. That's pretty self-explanatory. He's been doing a great job with the website so far. We're expecting a new website, a more functional website, to be coming out in, I believe, January. So part of the NatCon this year is going to be signing up through that website and making that transition. Next slide. Miss Shannon McGurk is your National Activities Officer, and she is really, really strong about the JNP. Also the SNP, which is unusual because not a lot of chapters focus on it, but since we have it, we may as well push for it a little more than we have in the past. Next slide. Caroline Jock is our National Treasurer. She really brings experience to the table, just as much as Treasury expertise, because she was on national staff last year, and she has been a region president. So she has a wealth of knowledge and experience that she brings to the table. Next slide. Our public affairs officer is Tyler Reed, and he's got several new initiatives going on. One of them is the hashtag Earn Your Silver Wings, and that's basically the social media handle that we're using to post and track everything that's going on, mostly on Instagram, but largely on Facebook as well. What we've seen so far is that Instagram is how Silver Wings members will connect with each other, and Facebook is how Silver Wings members kind of exhibit to their non-Silver Wings family and friends what they're doing. Additionally, we're working on getting more recruiting material like flyers and pamphlets and stuff. And finally, he's going to start working on a recruiting video soon. There have been a lot of attempts at recruiting videos in the past, and none of them have really stuck. So we're really focusing on quality more than anything this year. Next slide. Megan Venegas is our National Sustainability Officer. She's doing a great job keeping people off of conditional status. And conditional status is the biggest thing, the biggest problem that Silver Wings has in its existence during this era. It's really hard to not just recruit, but maintain civilians. And additionally, you always get the the conflict between the cadets and Silver Wings and the civilians who were never in ROTC don't really have the confidence that a lot of the ROTC cadets do. So not only is she focusing on keeping people out of conditional status, she's focusing on developing those civilians so that they are more confident in going for the positions that are traditionally held by cadets. Next slide, please. Overall goals. Quick turnaround times and clear communication are huge. We've had several Archon issues this year. This Archon is one of them, and one of the biggest problems that it really boils down to is failure to communicate. If we communicate effectively, there's not a problem in the world we can't solve. In terms of joint relations, my advice is always focus on what you can do for your squadron. The feedback I've heard from a lot of the Arnies so far is that they're not opposed to helping out Silver Wings. You know, they are willing to help, willing to do whatever they can. They just don't know what's expected of them. So by really making your expectations and your needs clear, then you can get them to help you a lot more. Joint relations are the next thing, and Operation Coastal Cleanup, for those who have heard of it, which should be everybody at this point, is our first kind of big joint operation within our joint national project this year, and I expect that to be a full success. JNP and SNP hours, I think in connection with Coastal Cleanup and in connection with the National Activities Officer's efforts for the SNP, I expect those numbers definitely to grow. Paying dues, that is the big one. This region has been pretty good about it, and I'm impressed. Of course, there are always the people who we really have to get on. And the sooner everybody pays their dues, the sooner Silver Wings as a nation can go back to its standard operation of really trying to make things better instead of just baseline administration type stuff. And then a higher number of awards nominations. There are lots and lots of awards, and it is not competitive at all to go up for them. Reese is kind of working on making those awards easier to compete for, but the biggest thing is advertising them. You know, people have to know what kind of awards you can get and how to apply for them, and can I nominate my friends for them? You know, so those issues. Next slide, please. Finalizing the activation and reactivation of all chapters. That's tough. There are a lot of chapters who are kind of in the process of activating, and then they get it almost all squared away, and then right at the last moment they drop off the face of the earth and we can't hear from them. And that's something where not only the region president is going to come into play, but also the surrounding chapters. Being able to support your sister chapters is going to be huge in activating new ones. Civilian heavy recruitment strategies are also going to be huge. And that, again, is not something we can really present on at the national level because it's something that has to be tailored for each chapter. That said, Allie and Megan are both, they're brilliant in terms of recruiting civilians. They've both done fantastic jobs, and they're absolutely willing to help out your chapter if this is something you're having issues with. Retaining members once they initiate to active status has always been an issue, especially with cadets. We see a lot of cadets join, they get the fourragé and the ribbon and all the fancy stuff they wear on the uniform, and then they drop it and they don't do anything. Silver Wings should be more than a cord on a shoulder to a cadet. It should be more meaningful. And if it's not more meaningful to them, then you know their being in the chapter isn't working to the benefit of anybody. Creativity with fundraisers is something that is important. You know, we can't always fall back to the same fundraisers doing them over and over and over, because generally the more innovative you can be with those ideas, the more profitable the fundraisers will be. As we transition into this new website, feedback from anybody who has feedback will be hugely important. We don't use the website a whole lot. I know before we were national staff, you know, we went on the website maybe once a year to pay dues. We're trying to increase that traffic and use it as a recruiting tool as well. So if you do see something about the new website you don't like, bring it up to your chapter president, bring it up to your region president, and it'll get its way to us and we'll fix it. Finally is Earn Your Silver Wings. And that's something that we're really trying to push on people to start using because social media is probably the most underutilized tool that Silver Wings has. We have a lot of potential for a strong social media presence, and that's not necessarily something we've been able to achieve so far. And Earn Your Silver Wings is a fantastic way to get up there. Next slide, please. So in summary, I covered the goals of, well, all of our officers here on national staff. Does anybody have any questions? Perfect. Then I'll turn it over to you, Haley. Thanks.
Okay. Thank you. All right, so now we have a break. Let me